good morning. This is part 3 into the program. So we're going to get started. Thank you for joining. Go ahead and share my screen here. All right, let's see here. All right. There you go. All right.
Here, I just wanted to let you know that you really don't have to memorize anything in this course because I've put together a cheat sheet with summary notes so you can quickly review the materials in this course. The link.
Okay, just real quick, if you do want the cheat sheet, if you scroll down, there is a, let's see, where is it? Show more. Okay, so right here, if you go on the video, there's a cheat sheet. You just click on that link there and it'll take you to a page and you can sign up for it and download. I think you have to put your name in their email if you want to. There is a cheat sheet available for that. Well, let's continue.
Link is below this video. So I've done my best to create the best possible Python course on YouTube. And I really appreciate it if you support my hard work by liking this video and sharing it with others so they can learn as well. And be sure to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this. All right, now let's move on to the next tutorial. In this Python tutorial, we're going to write a program that will ask the year we were born in, and then it will calculate our age and print it on the terminal. So let's start with our input function, input. Let's print birth year, followed by a colon and a space. Now,
all right. So go ahead, put an input, C's, birth year, colon, all right, space.
Now let's get the return value and store it in a variable called birth underline year.
All right. And type in birth underline year equals. All right.
So as I told you before, we use an underscore to separate multiple words. Next, we need to calculate the age. So we define another variable called age. And here we do some basic math. Currently, we are in 2019. So let's write an expression like this. 2019 minus birth year.
All right. So on the next line, you're going to type in age equals, and we're in 2023, so type in 2023 minus birth underscore year. All right.
Now, finally, let's print age on a terminal. Let's run our program and see what happens. So my birth year is 1982.
Okay, so go ahead. On the third line, type in print, parentheses, age, and then you're gonna run it. All right, and at the bottom, you should see birth year colon, and then type in your birth year. Let's see. Or whatever year you want to type in.
Enter. Oops, we got an error. What is going on here?
All right. Okay, so the error code comes up. Let's see what he has to say.
So whenever you see this red message, that means there is something wrong in your program. With the information here, we can find exactly where the error occurred. So next to the file, you can see the file that generated this error. In this case, that is app.py. So currently our program has only a single file, but real complex programs often have hundreds or even thousands of files. So in this file, on line 2, this is where we got this error. And right below that, you can see the piece of code that generated this error. So that is where we're calculating the age. And right below that, you can see the type of the error. In this case, we have a type error, and here's the message: unsupported operand types for subtraction, int and stir. So int is short for integer, and that represents a whole number, and stir is short for string. So here we're subtracting a string from an integer, and Python doesn't know what to do with it. Let me explain. So I'm going to close the terminal window. So after the first line is executed, we have this birth year variable set to a string. So whatever we type in the terminal is always treated as a string, even if we type a number. In other words, when we run this program, this birth year variable will be set to a string with 4 characters, 1982. This string is different from the actual number 1982. One is an integer, the other is a string, right? So back to line 2, where this error occurred. At runtime, which means when we run our program, this expression on the right side of the assignment operator is going to look like this: 2019 minus string 1982. Python doesn't know how to interpret or how to evaluate this expression. To fix this problem, we need to convert this 1982 into an integer, and then we'll be able to subtract it from 2019. And that is very easy. So far, you have learned about 2 built-in functions. One is print, the other is input. We have a few more functions for converting values into different types. So we have int for converting a string into an integer. We also have float for converting a string into a float or a number with a decimal point. And we also have bool for converting a string into a Boolean value.
All right, so we're going to pause there real quick. So we're going to add that. So we have int, integer, we have float, and we have boolean. All right, as well. So once again, we've learned print function and we learned input function. Now we can add integer, float, and boolean. All right, cool.
So to fix this problem, we need to go back on line 2 and pass this birth year variable to the int function like this. Int parentheses like this. So we pass.
All right, so instead of minus just birth year, we're going to do int. And around the birth year, we're going to put the parentheses.
Pass this string to the int function. Int will convert it to an integer, and then Python interpreter will be able to evaluate this expression.
All right.
Now let's run this program one more time. So birth year is 1982, enter. So I am 37 years old.
Okay, so let's just go back to that again. So once again, if Python, if you put something in pycharm or in a Python program and it doesn't understand that, look at the error code and then look at what line it is. And in this particular case, it basically had to tell the program, look, you have to put something in there because I don't understand what it is. So in this particular case, it said, okay, this is an integer. So we're going to look at this birth year as an integer. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rerun that. Voila. Okay, birth year. And I'm going to put in cool.
In Python, we have a useful function for getting the type of variables. For example, let's print the type of birth year. So right after line 1, let's print. Now here we're going to call another built-in function called type. And now let's pass birth year. Okay.
All right, so let's just go ahead on the third line, put in age. That's a 19 minus. Remember that integer. Remember, everything has to match up. Okay. In this case, 2023. You can use 2019 if you want, but I'm going to use 2023. All right.
Now, similarly, after line 3, let's also print the type of age. So print type of age. Okay.
All right, stop there. And print type age. Let's see. Is that right? Print. Okay.
Let's run our program. So birth year, one more time.
All right, so go ahead and run it. So you should have the birth year that shows at the bottom of your screen.
1982. Okay, here's the result. So the type of birth year, as you can see, is a class of stir or string. We'll look at classes in the future. So for now, don't worry about them. And also below that, you can see that the type of the age variable is int or integer. So here's what you need to take away.
All right, so we're gonna run that. Again. All right.
Whenever you use the input function, you always get a string. So if you're expecting a numerical value, you should always convert that string into either an integer or a float. Now here's a little exercise for you. I want you to write a program, ask the user their weight, and then convert it to kilograms and print it on a terminal. So pause the video, do the exercise, and when you're ready, come back, continue watching.
Okay, we're just gonna get right into it because I have no idea what it is, to be honest with you. So let's go.
Be a digital detective. Enroll in a new Google Cybersecurity certificate to jump.
All right, so let's use our input function and ask for the weight in pounds. Here we get the weight in lbs or pounds.
Okay, so go ahead and clear out your code. And you're gonna type in weight. Pounds. Input. And remember, after the pounds and the colon, you want to put that space there because I'm assuming that's where we're gonna put in a number there. So let's go see what he does on line 2.
Now we need to convert this into kilogram. That is very easy. So we define another variable, weight underline kilogram or kg. We set this to weight underline lbs times 0.45. And
All right. Weight equals weight underscore pounds times 0.45. All right.
Finally, let's print weight underline kilogram. Let's run this Python program and see what happens.
All right, print weight kilograms. All right.
So my weight is 160. All right, once again, we got an error. Can't multiply sequence by non-int of type float. So as I told you before, this input function returns a string. So we cannot multiply a string by a float. Python doesn't know what to do with it. So in this case, we should convert this number to an integer or a float and then multiply it by 0.45.
Okay, I'm assuming he's going to put like float and then in parentheses he's going to put weight. Let's see if I'm right.
So let's call the int function and pass weight underline LBS.
Okay, I guess I'm not. Let's see. So do int. All right.
And run our program one more time. 160. Okay, so I am 72 kilograms.
All right, so let's see. We're going to rerun it. And then that would be all right.
In this tutorial, you're going to learn more about Python strings. So I've defined this course variable and set it to Python for beginners. Now, earlier I told you that you can use both single and double quotes to define a string. But there are times that you have to use a specific form, otherwise you're going to run into issues. Here's an example. Imagine we want to change this string into Python's course for beginners. So we want to add an apostrophe like this, Python's course for beginners. You can immediately see this is going crazy because our string starts here and then terminates here. All these characters that we have after the second apostrophe, Python interpreter doesn't know what they are. So to solve this problem, we need to use double quotes to define our string so we can have a single quote in the middle of the string. So let's change this to double quotes. Now you can see it adds another double quote to close it. We have to manually remove this. And also one more time at the beginning of the string, we need to add another double quote. Now you can see the error is gone. So if we print course, we see Python's course for beginners. Beautiful. Now let's say we don't want this apostrophe here. So we have Python for beginners, but we want to put beginners in double quotes. Once again, if you add a double quote here, Python interpreter gets confused because it assumes the second double quote indicates the end of our string, so it doesn't know what these characters are. So to solve this, we need to change our double quotes to single quotes like this, and then we can add double quotes in the middle of the string. Now let's run this program. There you go. So we get Python for beginners.
Okay, so let's just slow it down a little bit. So if you want to use quotes, no, he said in the beginning, if you're using quotes, then it's okay to use it in single or double. But if you want to highlight something in particular, make sure you use either double quotes for a single word, or if you're trying, I guess, to do a using a quote. For example, you said Python and then apostrophe S, then you need to put double quotes around the whole item that you want or line that you want highlighted in there. So let's continue.
So these are the cases for using single or double quotes. Now, in all the examples I've shown you so far, we only deal with short strings. But what if you want to define a string that is multiple lines? For example, what if you want to define a string for the message that we send in an email? In that case, we need to use triple quotes. So let me delete this. Now we add 3 quotes. So 1, 2, 3. There you go. So we have 3 quotes to start our string and 3 to terminate it. Again, these quotes can be single or double quotes. Okay.
All right, so we're going to pause there. I'm just writing some notes. So we have triple quotes. So we can use single, double, or triple quotes. All right.
Okay. Now with this, we can define a string that spans multiple lines. For example, we can say, "Hi, John. Here is our first email to you. Thank you, the support team." Like that. Now, let's run this program, and here's the result. So we get this beautiful multi-line string. Now, let's change this back to something simple so we can look at other characteristics of strings in Python. So I'm going to use single quotes and set the course name to Python for beginners. Now here we can use square brackets to get a character at a given index in this string. Let me show you. So to get the first character, we use square brackets and type 0. So the index of the first character in this string is 0. In other words, this is how Python strings are indexed. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So the index of the first character is 0. The second character is 1, and so on. So let me delete this and run this program. We get P. We can also use a negative index here. And this is one of the features that we don't have in other programming languages, as far as I know. So with a negative index, we can get the characters starting from the end. So if I pass -1 here, assuming that 0 is the index of the first character, -1 is the index of the last character. So when we run this program, we should see S. Let's run it. There you go. We get S. If we pass -2, this will return the second character from the end. Let's run it one more time. Now we get R because that is the second character from the end. Okay. So pay close attention to this square bracket syntax because quite often it's the topic for online Python tests or university exams. So if you're preparing for a Python test, make sure to watch this tutorial one more time and understand exactly how this square bracket syntax works.
Okay, so we're going to pause that real quick. And then probably be done in about 3 or 4 minutes. But if you're going to use a square bracket text, just make sure that once you put these in single quotes, at least in this particular case, that if you're starting from left to right, the first line or the first number or the first item to the right of the quote, all right, you're going to put 0, and then that's going to print out whatever that 0 item is. And then in order for the one on the right to print out, you're going to put -1, and then it's going to be in reverse. All right, let's go.
We can also use a similar syntax to extract a few characters instead of just one character. For example, if we type 0:3, Python interpreter will return all the characters starting from this index all the way to this second index, but it does not return the character at this index. In other words, back to these indexes. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. When we run this program, Python interpreter will return the characters starting from index 0 all the way to index 3, but excludes the character at index 3. So when we run this Python program, we're going to see pyt. Let me show you. So I'm going to delete this line, run this program. There you go. We get pyt. Now here we also have default values for the start and end index. So if we don't supply the end index, Python will return all the characters to the end of the string. Let's take a look. So run this program. There you go. We get Python for beginners. But if we change the start index to 1, this will exclude the first character. So when we run this program, we see YTHON. So P is removed. Okay. Now, similarly, we have a default value for the start index. So if we don't supply the start index, but add an end index like 5, Python interpreter will assume 0 as the start index. So let's run this program. There you go. We get PYTHO. Now, what if we leave both the start and end index? Well, I told you that in this case, 0 will be assumed as the start index, and the length of the string will be assumed as the end index. So with this syntax, we can basically copy or clone a string. In other words, if I define another variable here, let's call it another, and set it to course square brackets with just a colon, now this expression will return all the characters in the course variable. So this second variable will be a copy of our first variable. Let's take a look. So let's print another and run our program. There you go. We get Python for beginners. So once again, the square bracket syntax is pretty important. If you're preparing for online Python tests or college exams, make sure to watch this tutorial again. Now here's a little exercise for you. I'm going to delete all this code. Define a variable called name and set it to Jennifer. Now, when we print name of 1:-1, what do you think we're going to see on the terminal? I want you to use your knowledge to tell what we're going to see on the terminal without running this program. So pause the video, think about it for a few seconds, and then come back, continue watching.
All right, so 1, -1. I guess that would be E, but let's see. Could be wrong. And another commercial.
What are you working on?
Oh, I'm using Vidyard to move my...
So this expression will return the characters starting from index 1, which is the second character, all the way to the first character from the end, but excluding the character at this index. In this case, the first character from the end is R, so R will be excluded. In other words, we're going to see all the characters starting from E all the way to the second E. Let's take a look. So I'm going to run this program. There you go. This is what we get. And I hope you guessed it right.
Okay, I sure didn't. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pause there because it is about that time. So thank you for joining, and we will continue on for tomorrow. And we will see you once again tomorrow. And good morning. All right, everyone, have a good day.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations.
They had no idea that that church I was running by every day was something my grandfather established.
This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million. And then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Overnight, it's like, oh, it's no longer the quarters, now it's Lincoln Heights. Oh, so now we get to use Abraham Lincoln for our name. And you think about all the other people that they could have used, but they picked Lincoln. And I think that's sort of a stereotypical of what they do.
There wasn't any black restaurants. As far as black business and weed, it wasn't none.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Why has it been easier for other groups than us?
Because of anti-black hatred.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR room,